This is going to be a great intro to making your very first bangle. Love this bracelet. You don't need anyone to help you put that on. So easy just to do one-handed. Beginner friendly, basic, stackable, customizable using 16 gauge. I'm really excited about doing this tutorial today. Basically, I myself am excited because until recently, I've never been able to wear bangles because I have a very small wrist and they always fall off my hand. And it's so nice to be able to make something that's customizable to what you want and to how it fits your body. So that's one of the great joys of making your own jewelry and making your own bangles. Let's go make some bagels too. That sounds good. Making bangles that are going to fit you and customizable to you. Basically, what we're going to do, this wonderful base of a bangle that can be left by itself. You can just leave it unadorned, which is also very lovely, just for a wonderfully stacked look. You can apply a couple stones to it. Like this one just has kind of like a bar, and this one I wrapped almost all the way around. This is just actually it's not really attached except by the ends. It's just kind of a wire strand of beads. But then this one, each one is wrapped down, kind of anchored down to the bangle. But even with this one, that is a little more elevated off the bangle, I have not had any issues with it coming off or coming loose or anything like that. And I've had this on for 3 days without taking it off, sleeping in it, doing my normal things around the house, and it has really stayed nice and sturdy. It hasn't deformed. Lots of bangles are going to call for either a 12 or 14 gauge. This is 16 gauge, and we can get away with it because it's double wrapped. This bracelet we made a couple weeks ago. I'll leave a link that up here if you'd like to make this wonderful honey dipper like bracelet as well. But today, these bangles are what's on the menu, and totally you're going to build this yourself. It's like build a burger, build a bangle. And I did go ahead and make a bracelet that's made just like the rings that we made a few weeks ago. Actually, gosh, it might have been more than a month ago. I'll leave a link for that. So why not have I didn't put them on. I'll have to go get them on. Hold on. Ta-da! Magic of video. Why not have a bracelet that is made exactly how the rings are made? Supplies for today are going to be 16 gauge wire. This is dead soft, bare copper wire, and then 22 gauge. You could go to 24 as well for actually a different look. And you know what? I might surprise you and actually use a 24 gauge to do this individual wrapping today. But I kind of like it 22 because you can see it. It's a focal point all on its own. But if you want a more subtle look, okay, so we'll just leave it at this. A suggestion, if you want a little more subtle wrapping look, if you're going to be mounting like this, each individual one, go for a 24 gauge, and then you're not going to see the wire in between as much. But I kind of like that. It's almost like a dividing bead. We're going to be using definitely a nylon hammer, rawhide, rubber mallet, whatever you might have like that. This is the bracelet mandrel that I picked up off of Amazon, which has come in much handy today for this project. Now, you can use other things like a soda can, a soup can, a rolling pin. Look around your house for something that is going to work for your needs. Measure it. See what it's going to come out to, but it's going to be close to the size that you need. 6-stepped pliers, chain nose, flush cutters. For the beads, I as you can see in this one, I love this kind of pebble stone in the amazonite, and I loved this tourmaline because I don't know if you can see on this, they're like little tubes, and they were just so perfect to lay down right in this channel. I use the word nestle down, snuggle down. I like to nestle down right in this channel. So that's why I chose this tube-like bead for that. And then just because I love It's so beachy. It reminds me of the beach. We're heading into winter and I still want to remember the beach. Okay, let's get started on what you're going to need to cut of this 16 gauge dead soft bare copper wire to meet your needs or your size. For a small, you're going to need about 40 centimeters. This is going to make in the 6-inch range. For a medium size, which is going to be about a 7-inch, somewhere around 17 inches to 43 centimeters. 17 inches or 43 centimeters. And then for a larger size, going on upwards of 8 inches, you're going to want to cut 18 inches or about 46 centimeters. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make a small one because I'm small. I wear this ring, my wedding band is a size 4. I am super, super small. I wear a size 5 shoe, so it's very, very difficult to find jewelry that fits me. That's one of the reasons why I am so in love with making my own jewelry, because it's just hard to find what fits. So what did I say, 16 inches. I'm just going to pull this out a little bit. I'm not going to get fancy with it because it's going to be trimmed anyway of the rough ends. No need to flush cut yet. Right about here. I've really been, since that wonderful tip I got in, I should have left that on the spool. That wonderful tip I got in about using the cloth, it really is so nice to remove the tarnish and to give some pre-strengthening to your wire. And what I'll do is kind of arc it one way, and then when I swipe it again, arc it the other way. And you can feel the wire getting tenser and tenser with each pass of the cloth. And remember, I'm making a small bracelet. So I've got about 16 inches here. And I'm going to take my 6-stepped bail making pliers and roughly find the middle. Placing it on there like that, I think, and I'll be able to tell if I got the middle in just a minute when I start wrapping. We're going to wrap around the 5th step, which is 7 millimeters on my pliers. We are getting ready to make this loop right here. Finding the middle. And just start right. Do I have it in the middle? Yeah, I do. See how the two ends are meeting? So I've got it pretty much in the middle, but just by eyeballing. And we're going to overlap right on the bail pliers like this. I don't take it off the pliers. I find it's easier if I just leave it on there for better control. You can just hold, it's holding it already. Why take it off and try to hold it with your hands? I'm going to take some chain nose pliers, and right in, there's a little gap right here. Right where these two wires intersect, I'm going to place my pliers right on there, grab it firmly, and then just bend straight out from the pliers. One other thing that I was doing that you can't tell that I was doing is that while I'm turning, I'm also pressing into the bail. It's kind of hard to tell that, but that's what I'm doing. Now, to maintain control of this loop, because I don't like it falling, moving all around, I just take it off the pliers and put it right back on. I mean, it works. And I'm going to do the same movement again, finding that little gap right in there, placing it over where they crisscross, turning outwards. Excuse me about that. Turning outwards while also pressing into the bail. And I should have 2 pieces coming out from the bail like this. So wonderful when your hand's in the way and you can't see anything, huh? Love it.
I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it.
I'm so sorry about that. And this is not too big of a deal right now, so it's like crisscrossing, and it's relatively It's not kinked or anything, but it's wanting to overlap. That is going to get worked out as we hammer it around the bracelet mandrel. This is the first time we are going to see our nylon hammer. Oh, and a bench block. Yeah, if you got a hammer, you got a bench block. I didn't mention that. And just, if it's got any warpage, I'm not sure if warpage is a word. Just give it a little hammering out, clearing the area a little bit. Taking a sip of coffee. This is when your soup can, your rolling pin, whatever you can find, or your bracelet mandrel comes in. And I'm making, let's see what it comes out to be. I'm shooting for this 6-inch range, somewhere in here. You know, another reason why I got a wooden one is because as much as I love hammering, I can't stand the sound of the hammer hitting that steel. It just drives me bonkers. So I got a wood one, so it's a little more easy on my ears. I think this is going to be perfect at the 6 3/4, and I cut 16 inches. This is going to get cut. These little bits are going to get cut off, and the hook is going to be made right around in here. So this is perfect. Holding it firmly on there, I'll start from the back. We're going to visit our hammer again. I also have small hands, so it just makes it hard to hold this stuff. Hammering down that end. And as I took it off, you see it springs. And it's springing just into the position that I want, where I can trim this bits off and then make the hook. Perfect. Before I move on to make the hook, anytime you see any little kink, you're going to want to try to work that out, because it's only going to cause you more problems on down the road. Those sit together a little better. I forgot to tell you that we're going to need this too. You're going to want nice smooth ends. You don't want any of the sharpness catching your wrist. Back with our stepped pliers. Now, the hook part is kind of sensitive because you don't want to make the hook so long that it makes it hard to hook it, but you need it just long enough so that it stays hooked. That's another reason why I love this bangle, is because you can put it on yourself. You don't have any loose chain or anything like that. This is easily put it on your hand and hook it. Using the bail pliers, we're going to put this hook on the end, and I like to use this 3mm bail to put this little bend in. And I'll probably move, see where I have the pliers is even with the edge of the hook. I'm going to try there and just bend around so you can see what I'm doing. Just in enough where it's going to hook it. You should be able, and da-da. If you need any more reshaping, sometimes I just do it by hand. If I feel like, it's a little egg shape or something, just some gentle little pushes. And of course, you can put it back on. You can put it back on this and do some reshaping if you need to. I do find that this little area will get in the way a little bit, but you can still do it if you have to. I think this is off center a little bit, so I'm going to just pull this over a little bit more and then see. Right in the middle. If you'd like to see how we can apply some of these lovely beads to this base, this wonderful bangle base that has so much potential to be multiple different things, stick around and we're going to work through a couple variations. Okay, this first one that I'm going to show you is just a band. Oh, maybe I already have enough out already. This might be enough just to do a band. I'm going to leave this tied back up. The first variation that I'm going to show you is just this single band of beads. You don't have any of this wire showing in between. It's just a short band. You can't do this one all around like you could this one. Each one is mounted to the bangle, but for this one, you could use kind of like a bar bangle, let's call it that. So all you need is just a few, 10, 12, 15 beads to make your band. And I'm using, again, 22 gauge, dead soft, bare copper wire. Probably just enough for our beads and a little bit to wrap on either side. So this looks to be about, I'm going to guess, 7 inches. Let's see how long it is. Oh my goodness. Come on now. 7 inches. 7 inches on the dot. So whatever you need to work it. Nothing like putting a kink in your wire before you even start. If you have a hard time finding where the opposite middle side of your bangle would be, I did this on another one. I just kind of eyeball it, and so I don't lose track of where the top center of this of the bangle is. So I know where to start mounting. How long is that going to be? I don't even know if I want it that long. No, I don't want it that long. Maybe like that much. We'll just start mounting over here. And all this requires is just a few loops to get us going. 3 to 4, I would say. Or really, it's your preference. I mean, you can wrap the whole rest of the bracelet if you want. I mean, this is where these design elements, your own personal design, comes in. If there's like a structural element to that I feel that you really need to maintain, I'm going to tell you that. But this is, as long as you have at least 3 or 4 wraps, it's going to be fine. But you can add more if you want for your own look. And I will go ahead and do 4 since we're at it. I did 4, and then I'll start putting the beads on at the 5th. And I kind of bring it to the center and just kind of start pushing it in, making it go in the direction that I want. We want it to go, obviously, along the band. I probably need to bring it over. At this point, it's still very easy to push where you need it. And I think the hardest part of this is stringing these beads. We just love tiny beads, don't we? But they're so pretty. I didn't know if that one was going to fit. The hole looked quite small. I love the organic shape of these beads. It reminds me of the beach, little pebbles on the beach. I love the beach. It doesn't matter which one it is. I want to go. My dad is the same way. He loves the water. My kids love the water. Where's that going to take us? And especially with these organic shaped ones, you're going to really have to see if you got it where you want it. That first one is a little causing me problems. But we're going to work with it. I am not taking these back off now that I got them on there. And that's about centered. Just tuck it, firm it. Really get it in there nice and firmly, snugly. And I'll just bring my thumb right to the end. Before I do that, I want you to notice that it's wrapping from this end, and then the beads are starting. And so when I come to this end, I'm going to continue in that same flow from left to the right side. Really bringing that angle of the wire straight down from the beads. Pushing over with your thumb. You really want to get that in there like a bookend. You really want that tight up against that stone. And to match the other side, I'll put 4 wraps. And that's all there is to it. Isn't that pretty? All right, you know what the last thing that we have to do is trim off the excess. Now, I have seen it suggested to cut your excess off the top of the bracelet. And I don't understand that, honestly, because I don't want to see the end of the wire cut. I just want to see the wraps. And if your cut is good and you sand it off, it's not going to cause you any problems scratching your skin or anything like that. And if you worry about it, if you feel anything, just come back with a file. And sand it down. I always cut underneath. I don't really understand the cutting on the top. If there's a reason for it, please let me know. And there we have a single line of a stone on top. And like I said, this one here that even sets more up off the wrist. I have had this on for 3 days. And it has caused me no problems. It hasn't got caught anything. It hasn't wanted to come off. It is on there good and steady. Now, I do have more wraps on here, but I don't think that's making it more or less sturdy. It's a good, sturdy bracelet. Even this 16 gauge has held up. Wearing it for 3 days, sleeping in it, never taking it off. It has really maintained its shape. We can take it off and look. You see how I did that with one hand? Love it. This is me wearing it 3 days nonstop. I think maybe it's slightly bowed over here, but I'm rough on things, you know, so I think that's holding up really well. Let's make this again, but I'm going to show you how that you can mount them individually. This technique is also going to apply if make some matching hoop earrings and use the same stones that you have mounted to your bracelet and make some hoop earrings. I mean, kind of like how I had made this other bracelet using the same technique that we use this ring. Love it. Now, this one does not have a clasp, obviously. This is a true bangle that just needs to fit over your hand. So once you know how to make this, you can make some matching hoops to go along with it. want to mount some of these tourmaline. I love the mix of the green and the light, and it's got some of these rose colors, and they're really nice for fall, I think. Obviously, we're going to need more wire than just what this called for. I think, what did I use? 7 inches on that. Probably at least double that amount to mount them in there. So I'll go ahead and cut 14 inches of this 22 gauge dead soft. You can't see off screen, but I'm cutting about 14 inches there. I want to make sure I have enough to wrap the ends for sure, but have all that extra that's going to mount our beads individually. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the same technique where you can take your a hoop that you make for earrings and then wire wrap the same stones onto the hoop earring to have a matching bracelet and earring set if you would like. Now this starts the same way. We're going to do 3 or 4 anchoring wraps, I guess you could say, to either end. I might end up doing more because I do like wraps. And I'm all the time, you know, pinching with my fingernails, trying to get it nice and snug. Sorry, I'm hitting the screen, hitting the camera with that excess wire. And just pushing it through this hole of the bracelet. Now, this is where the guess part comes in. This is going to be my middle. I'm not sure how much it's going to make. We're just going to play by ears. I think I'm just going to move it over here and fill that area. And then whatever, if I use all these, fine. If I don't, I don't. The same beginning, again, we're just kind of start to get the wire in that direction that we want it to go. I'm going to start with this. It doesn't matter. I just love them. I love unique beads. I'm always on the hunt for a unique shape because it just makes your pieces so interesting. And again, I'm pressing against the wraps. I'm pressing against the stone, trying to get it as snug in there as possible. I was trying to think of anything else other than to say snug, and I couldn't think of it. And still going in that same direction. We're just going to be wrapping in this direction all the time. Wrapping it around through the bracelet and back again for another wrap. Now you see how this stone is just a little cattywampus. Just take your chain nose pliers and give it a little twist to line it up with the bangle. My bangle, when I made it, was a little, I don't know, it was just trying to be difficult, and now it's causing me a little bit of problem, but we're not going to let it tell us what to do. We're going to tell it what to do. Again, you saw I just kind of got it in the direction the wire needs to go, putting another bead on, sliding it down. And it's the same process for as how many that you want to put on there. Pressing that, meeting those wraps in there nice and firmly, and I'll hold it with my thumb. And I'm giving a nice 90-degree angle as I'm coming down with that wire for that first wrap. Bringing around and wrapping one more time. How about one of these lovely rose-colored stones? It's amazing how so many colors are in one kind of gemstone. Pressing again, getting them all snug together. Holding with my thumb and giving a nice 90-degree turn of that wire so we can begin wrapping underneath. Go a little bit more. Wrapping over, bringing it around one more time to the top so we can put another stone on. How about one of these dark ones? Oh, see, they want to be friends. They want to be stacked together. Bending it down into position, hold it with your thumb. Bring that wire down at like kind of a 90 degree, as best as you can. It'll be even easier with a 24 gauge if that's what you chose to use. I'm wrapping around once and bringing it back around to the top so we can load another stone. While you're going, you can go up underneath the bracelet and give these, let me get this out of the way, give these wraps underneath kind of a twist and a squeeze. Come back through and give your stones a twist if you need to. Just tell them where they're going to go. And the more you just kind of tell, yes, this is where you're going, the more it will stay. And this is basically the process for as much as you would like to go. The whole length of your bracelet, or just like I'm showing you here, just a few. I don't know, 8 or 10. No, actually it's going to be less. Maybe about 8. Wrapping around once, bringing around to the top so we can load another bead. I mean, 10, I can count. I was thinking it was going to be 8, but it ended up being 10. And you know what? I've got a little bit extra over here. I'm just going to wrap it on around. I think that matches on either side now. And I can trim this excess. And we have just made, in a few minutes, a totally different look, totally different stone for your next bangle. Maybe this is your introduction to bangles. You've never made a bangle before. So this is going to take you down a road to making even more glorious bangles that in different ways, in different techniques, different clasps. There's so many different ways that you can do this part. This is just one of many, and a great intro to making your very first bangle. Making a strand of beads, mounting your beads. Here's another strand example. Or using the technique that we used several weeks ago, how to make your own wire-wrapped rings. I said, why can't I just make a gigantic ring that goes on your wrist? And that's exactly what this is. So if you want to make this one, it'll be linked down below, so how you can make this wire-wrapped bangle. It does not have a clasp, but still can fit over your hand, that is based on these wire-wrapped rings. Well, I hope you had a wonderful time. You learned something new. I love learning with you. I love sharing with you the wonderful techniques that I come across, and we can learn together and make something beautiful. Next week, this time, I'll see you again.